three key points. We're going to be, 25 minutes, half an hour or so walking through this. What I want to start with is the case. Like, what is it that's happening in our world? What are we learning? What are we understanding? Who's paying attention to those things that's really elevated this whole use of people data beyond the kind of classic reporting of how many people completed their performance reviews, how many people filled in the engagement survey, to what does this tell us about the likely revenue? What does this tell us about likely customer impact? What does this tell us about decisions we need to make in order to make our business successful? So what's been driving the case? Then we're going to look at this in motion. We've got some technology set up. We're just going to show you how the state of the art, what's possible, how we actually go about doing that, and then looking at how this scales out across a business. One of them really, like money, people are kind of everywhere in a business. So one of the elements of how the most advanced groups, the groups that have been leading this for a long time, is working, is they're building this out across their organization. So let's jump right in. Here we go. So this is hot off the press. It's just published in November. It was super exciting for me to see, but it's that link between the people data and the business data. This is a piece of research by a company called BlackRock. They are an investment firm. They look at putting money into the market to work out whose stocks should I buy, whose stocks shouldn't I buy, what's going to go up, what's going to go down. And what they did is a really long look. This is a 2012 to 2021. So that's a number of years in there, 9 roughly. And they're looking at resignation rates. So what's the rate at which people are leaving your business? And they're putting that against return on assets. And so the vertical bar is return on assets, like how much money are we making off the money we have? And then they grouped it by organizations with high turnover and organizations with low turnover. Those of you who are used to understanding charts and have a quick eye, we'll look at quintile 2. So that's the group that are in the top 80% for a low turnover. They aren't the very best, they're the second best. And that's the group where it's a standout, like their results are above trend in terms of return on assets. And so what that's telling an investor is I need to pay attention to resignation rate. It determines how much money is coming back to a business. It has a direct impact on that. And I also need to know that too little is actually not helpful. Again, lots of people will look at our resignation rates like, oh, let's make it as small as possible. And what this research highlights is that's not actually the case. What we need is a certain amount of throughput. Many people look at an organization like it's an engine. It's not an engine. It's an ecosystem. All the different parts interact with each other. Sometimes they have unintended consequences of how they sort of grow and work together. And so this is saying too little transition in your ecosystem actually has an effect on your returns. Too much clearly has an effect on your returns. Then, two things that are key for me with this one, which is like why this is the age of people intelligence. This isn't a research group. This isn't a research consulting business or an HR consulting business putting this out. This is BlackRock, an investment business that have put time and energy into making this. And then, a lot of us have understood this intuitively for a while. And you would, depending on who you are, if you're like me, you've argued with CFOs for many decades about exactly this. But now what we're seeing is the proof. And now what we're seeing is people putting that proof there. The next one is, again, released this year and in the Harvard Business Review. And this means for me that people data is on the CEO agenda. Again, what this group looked at is revenue per employee and trying to understand what drives a difference. So guess what? People who are in the top quarter they classified it as experience. What they mean by experience is the people who've been with the business a long time. Again, intuitively, this stuff makes sense. I've been with the business. I know what I'm selling. I understand how to sell it. I sell more of it. Many people wouldn't, debate that line of argument. But what these researchers are detecting and why this is vital to a CEO is that this has up to a 50% difference in your revenue per employee. So all of us are heading into hard economic times. All of us are questing for that. How do we make the best use of what we have? How do we make the business successful? Well, here is one key driver. Hold on to the people who understand your business well. It's not just about anybody in any seat. It's actually about the right bodies in the right seats and with up to a 50% difference in terms of those drivers. And this summed it up for me is, again, like, why are we saying this is the age of people intelligence? Because people like BlackRock, people like Larry Fink, who's the CEO, who have a significant influence on SEC regulation, significant influence on how money is deployed against share prices and can move markets, are viewing people data as absolutely essential